Hello, heretics. This is Lilith. I'm here with Renee, and we are Veritas Voices. Thank you for joining us in the countdown to Christmas. I know everyone's probably very, very busy, but it's a wonderful time of year. They have cinnamon, nutmeg, everything flavor, and I just love it. What about you, Renee?
Well, personally, I also love cookies and that stuff. I also love mulled wine, which is
Mm.
one of my favorite drinks of the season. Actually, I'm drinking it right now, even
Oh,
though nobody
nice.
can see it. But yeah, it's definitely a wonderful season, and yeah, it's luckily not that far away.
I have to say, I really love the Christmas flavor palette. The mints and the dark chocolate with the mints, but then the spices, the cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice palette, vanilla, lots of that. I mean, shortbread. Shortbread is never the wrong answer.
Yeah.
Um, that's one of my favorite things. But we are here to talk about our favorite and least favorite things about Christmas. Um, it's it's a big holiday in what is vernacularly termed the Western world, and has been for a very long time. And there are still a great number of Christians, at least in the USA, I doubt very much in Europe, who are horribly triggered by the fact that atheists have the unmitigated gall to have a Christmas. Um, Lovely people that. And yeah, admittedly, I kind of just think they're being douchebags,
Yeah.
but that's just me.
I mean,
So, yeah, go ahead.
for me personally, in my life, I like when I first read it on Twitter because when I first was on Twitter and I started out as an atheist, and I came across these people and how they were all up in arms about atheists celebrating Christmas. I didn't understand that at all because for me personally, growing up and just living in Germany, living life with my family and celebrating Christmas, it never was really about Jesus. What it was about for us was a family and enjoying each other's company. It was also about the food, obviously, and about showing appreciation to those whom you love. So it
Yeah,
was never that cheese focused, and I don't quite understand why this isn't something that an atheist can emphasize about Christmas, seeing that it's also already a huge part about Christmas, at least for the vast
true,
majority of people I surround myself with.
true, true, true. No, I agree. I have to admit, there's a certain pettiness to it. Um, I guess in Germany, as I understand it, there are so many more non-religious or like, eh, my name's on a church roll, but
Paper
that's it,
Christmas,
kind of
pretty
religious
much.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that I think it would just appear far, far more ridiculous to try and be like, no, you can't, because Christmas is special and only for us. Um, but at the same time, I don't know. Had you really never encountered that before you got on the internet?
um, not really. No, I mean, I know a great many people also who celebrate Christmas and who don't go to church at all. Hell, I even in sort of my community as a child, like within my school class, there were also a lot of there were also many Muslims who celebrated Christmas. It was just something fun to do within the season. So
Well, and I'm not going to turn down anyone that chants for turkey, pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce because that's just mean. And 'tis not the season for meanness.
yeah,
Um, I have to admit, obviously, my experience growing up was different. I belonged to a church that did like Christmas plays every Christmas, with adults too, not just kids' plays where nobody could sing in tune. Bless their hearts. But we did always go to Christmas Eve service.
Yeah.
Glad we didn't go to Christmas morning service because I felt like that kind of, it's Christmas morning. You're supposed to have the presents and just be able to chill out and sit around in your pajamas for a little while before all the, getting ready for dinner stuff starts. So
Yeah.
I was glad we didn't do that too often. I don't know. Did you ever go to service on like Christmas morning or stuff like that?
One thing which we did within my family was my parents prepared sort of the food for the evening and that stuff. And what I did, I went to church with my grandma, who was very much, or who was, I think, a devout Catholic, more or less like pretty much one of the most devout persons in my family. And that pretty much was then the experience for me. I did go to church on Christmas Eve. We sang the songs. There was also a play of the nativity scene and all that stuff. But after that was done, it was just all about having fun, all about family, all about enjoying each other's company. And that was pretty much my Christmas experience growing up. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't see why we as atheists couldn't just say, well, that church stuff, we just skip that, we leave that out of it. And like with myself, I now help my dad with preparing dinner and with preparing the food. And yeah.
Which is always good
just keep all the
because
rest.
if you help with preparing the food, that means you get to sample first
Yeah.
because you have to. It's a chef's thing. It's important.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that part of cooking. The part of, oh, well, I get to lick the spoons. Darn.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, I have to say, there's no logical reason people can't celebrate all the fun stuff of Christmas, which is most of the stuff to do with Christmas isn't actually religious in practice.
Yeah, pretty much
Even
all
if,
the non-religious stuff is fun.
yeah, exactly. And well, some of the religious stuff is too. Christian songs tend to bother me now that I think about the lyrics. But I mean, Christmas carols are still very pretty. And if I'm fair, I did enjoy that part of it. Did you ever, like as a kid, did the sort of the Christmassy lyrics or the Christian lyrics, did they ever strike you as odd or anything like that?
Well, I would say that I didn't really like I did know sort of the essentials of the belief system back at the time, but I just sort of as a child who didn't really think much about religion, I just went along with it. I also sang the songs. I knew that that Jesus was born sort of on that evening, or that was what was celebrated on that evening, but I didn't really consciously ascertain the idea that this child was supposedly God. So
Fair enough.
I just thought to myself, yeah, that's sort of the hero figure of Christianity, and my grandma's Catholic. I'm supposed to be a Christian, even though I'm not very sure about that stuff. But hey, singing songs is fun. I'm in church, so I just go along with it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, singing is fun most of the time. Did you have like a favorite Christmas carol or
Um, I would say yes, but I don't really know the title in English, I'm afraid. But
well, I might know the tune.
um,
Um,
I don't really know. But it's a song about Jesus being our savior, and the savior has arrived and that stuff.
Christ the Savior is born. Christ the
Yeah,
Savior is
exactly that one.
born.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the one.
That's Silent Night.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one is very pretty. And it's not too, I don't know, in retrospect, a lot of the fall on your knees, groveling type of worship kind of bother me. But at the same time, like the image of the sleeping babe and the peace and the, people coming in from the cold and finding shelter. There's nothing objectionable about any of that. So, I can enjoy that. Looking back, I have to admit there was something of the whole atheists don't deserve to celebrate Christmas. Not that I personally was deeply invested in, but just that I was familiar with. I guess an attitude and an environment. It's partly just pettiness and meanness, sort of a Scroogey attitude to the holiday. But also, it has something to do with the persecution complex.
like the whole war on Christmas thing, and now we're saying Happy Holidays instead of Christmas, and oh God, we are so persecuted. Now we have to sort of hide our Christian beliefs, and everyone's after us, and the culture's
Yeah,
is
because
all
we're only
changing like
allowed to
that. Yeah,
have 75% of the time for our stuff as opposed to 100% of the time, woe
yeah.
is us. Yeah. Poor special snowflakes. But yeah. Ugh. Sorry, I find that attitude infuriating now. But that persecution complex isn't just ego. It's cultivated to have a lot of fear. The idea of associating yourself with them more in like huddling away in the dark in a land that's, overseen by the Roman, so, foreign occupation and all of that, than in the sense of being actually just, I don't know, it's just fear mongering. And uh, Christianity likes to make people miserable and tell them that it makes them special.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they do sort of have grounds for fear because the zeitgeist is definitely shifting. Christianity is in decline. People are leaving the church, so I get it from that perspective. But it's not
Yeah.
like that they are living in a situation where they would have to fear for their lives, which is
Right.
actual persecution. It's just that they don't have the rights taken away, but people slowly realize that what they think are the rights are actually their privileges.
Yeah. Yeah. That they're no longer in a controlling majority, which is not the same thing as being persecuted,
Yeah.
which Americans haven't figured out yet. I don't know, honestly, if they ever will. Um, they certainly don't want to. I can tell you that much, but such is
Yeah.
life. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it still bothers me that such petty meanness about it, you can't have our holiday, it's ours. And, those are usually the people who actually think that was the day Jesus was born, as opposed to, you know, the day designated to celebrate it because it fell
Yeah.
in with the whole, um, I guess, liturgical year. I'm
I mean,
sorry, I'm grumpy.
one thing which I would say about that we supposedly can celebrate Christmas. I mean, you have to also think a little bit about the jobs, right? I mean,
Mm,
if you're, for instance, a school teacher, then you won't be able to teach children who are celebrating Christmas. So you necessarily have holidays. And
hmm.
and if you have other Christian family members, then why shouldn't you get to partake in the family get together and participate with the food and with the giving of presents and all of that stuff? I don't think that would be inconsistent for an atheist too. participate in. And same for me as a university student. Like, I don't have lectures over Christmas. What am I supposed to do besides celebrating Christmas?
I have no idea what they think you should do, but they sound like douchebags, so I would just ignore them. Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's fair enough. Christmas is obviously built into the culture, and there are holidays surrounding it. And I have heard of people for whom it really wasn't a big celebration. Um, I don't know. I never got that. There was one family that was, or one guy that was like, no, my family wasn't religious. We never really did anything for Christmas. And I remember thinking, what a bummer. Like, not because of the Jesus-y stuff, but I mean, think about all the stuff you do at Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, the presents, that there are stories that are, based in a historically Christian era, but are not necessarily specifically worshipful. Like, like the Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Scrooge and all that. Is that a popular story in Germany?
Yes, it is a popular story. Like, we also sort of send it on TV, like as a cartoon version, sort of. So we are definitely familiar with that story. But also, things like the do you know the movie? I think it's Polar Express or something like that. It's based on a book. That's also popular.
Oh, the Polar Express, yeah, with the Tom Hanks, the animated everything, but 3D, back when that was still not as common.
Yeah. But those are, again, non-religious things about Christmas, and non-religious narratives about Christmas, which you can get to enjoy during Christmas. And also one thing which I often do during Christmas season, I also often watch the SpongeBob episode about Christmas. That's also fun.
I actually don't think I've ever seen that.
Really?
Oh, gosh, no, I didn't even know there was a SpongeBob episode of Christmas. I don't know. I just kind of never associated Christmas trees with Bikini Bottom. My bad, clearly. Clearly, there are Christmas trees in Bikini Bottom, and I should just get in the Christmas spirit
by watching SpongeBob.
Absolutely. Well, in my family's, my family had the Christmas presents in the morning, and sometimes we get like the pajamas the night before, but often not. But every night or every Christmas Eve, we would usually come back from church, and there'd be like a hymn sing or, carol sing. And we'd come back, we'd all get into our pajamas, and then we would watch the Muppets Christmas Carol. Specifically the Muppets Christmas Carol. Have you ever seen that?
I have not seen that one before.
Best Christmas Carol ever. Not kidding. Best.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly sounds like fun.
It's totally fun. The best kind of fun. Oh, yeah. But for sure, you just, it's so much fun. Rizzo the Rat is and Gonzo are sort of the narrators. Gonzo is like, no, I'm totally Charles Dickens. And you're like, sure you are. Sure you are, Rizzo. Yeah, it's a really fun one, and it has lots of really cute quotable moments, as you would expect from Muppets.
Yeah.
Gosh, anyway, so we would all get dressed in our pajamas and we would watch the Muppets Christmas Carol. And then when that was over, we would go to bed. Well, there was usually a little bit of time to negotiate how early we would get up in the morning, because my mom was like, it's a holiday, I don't want to get up. And kids are like, but I want all the presents now. We're just like, no. And so we would have to make her tea or coffee so that she would get up. And she made this thing called the Land of Nod, which was basically like a giant cinnamon roll in a bundt pan kind of a thing. and she would set it to rise overnight. And then when we got up, she would put it in the oven while we were opening the stockings and the presents. And then we would have hot, very sweet breakfast. Yeah, as soon as the presents were done. So that was really awesome.
Yeah. So I think those are, as far as I'm concerned, those are the really important stuff, or the really important things about Christmas, at least for me, like these sort of traditions and the negotiations and also the presents and just, yeah, being with your family.
Did you have to fight for the right to get up as early as possible to get your presents?
Actually, in Germany, it's, or at least within my family, but also within a lot of families, which I know it's actually different with presents in the sense that German children get the presents on Christmas Eve, not on the 25th. Yeah.
So then what are the things that you do on the 25th itself?
On the 25th itself, we usually play video games, like sort of the presents which you got from the evening before.
Right.
You also go out eating with your family, you have breakfast, you also watch sort of the Christmas TV program, like I don't know, fairy tale stories, for instance, or that
The
sort of
Grinch Who
stuff.
Stole
Like,
Christmas.
yeah, like
Classics.
all sort of things. And then you are either invited by a family member to for lunch or to dinner, or you go out eating. That is
I
pretty much
see.
what we do.
So if you prepare dinner at home, what is sort of the traditional Christmas, German Christmas dinner?
Well, there are different Christmas dinners. Like one thing which we often did was duck. With
Duck.
yeah.
Huh. That's unusual. Well, for me, but
well, in Germany, you usually eat duck on sort of the day after Christmas Eve, but you can also eat it on Christmas Eve, and yeah.
so
Also,
you do the main celebrations on Christmas Eve instead of on Christmas Day.
yeah.
Okay.
Like it's sort of a 3-day celebration, and pretty much the day after Christmas Day, it's also, that's usually when we had fish or something like that. Still well prepared, but yeah.
Yeah, a
Not
little
as
less. I mean, in North America, I guess ever since Thanksgiving became a concept, the turkey has been the go-to festive meal for everything. Um, Everything all the time. And so we would have turkey stuffing in the turkey, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce. I found this really good recipe for cranberry sauce. It's I make really, really good cranberry sauce. Anyway, yeah, it's gravy, mashed potatoes, the whole works. And then of course there would always be maybe a pumpkin pie, maybe apple pie, depending on your family's particular tastes and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that I guess are just cultural traditions in terms of, yeah, and in terms of what people eat and what they enjoy.
yeah.
I guess, and then of course Boxing Day is the day after, and that's become this big like, oh, we're gonna do all the shopping ever.
One thing which is also sort of a popular dinner in Germany, which we have made recently in the last few years, like me and Dad, is deer.
Oh,
Like
venison.
a deer sort of goulash with yeah, that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
wow. I have to
It's
admit.
also quite popular.
See, that's the fun thing is that it's so different.
Yeah.
I've known of people having like a ham on Christmas, although usually that would be more on Easter or a rack of lamb. Um, but yeah, the turkey is sort of iconic around here for holiday feasting. Um, and who am I to argue?
Yeah, like turkey is also great. So it's not
Yeah.
something that we traditionally eat in Germany, but yeah.
But I'm sure you could suffer through it if you were doing a Christmas with some North American friends.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, especially with me and my dad, like, we're only two people, so us two eating a turkey would probably be problematic in the sense that there would be a lot of leftovers and also a lot of stomachache.
Oh yes, yes, that also is a Christmas tradition.
Stomachache.
You know, stomachache and leftovers. The number of interesting recipes that we have had to come up with to try and deal with leftover turkey in this culture, I don't even you can't even imagine. I mean, it's resulted in some very creative things. But yep, sometimes it's just best to prepare something that's a little smaller and a little less. Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
There can definitely be some indigestion. So, like, yeah, I guess I wonder, does anyone in Germany, I I guess I want to say, like, what do they think of people who say you can't celebrate Christmas if you're not a Christian? But I'm assuming they generally just don't.
Well, like I said, I've never heard it come up before in any conversation within Germany, and that's also, I think, partially because in Germany we don't talk a lot about faith. So
Hmm.
it's like the atheists in Germany are not usually very open about it, and also not confrontational about it in the sense that there are Christians out there on the street saying, if you're an atheist, then you can celebrate Christmas. And like I said, for many of us within Germany, it's also something that can be celebrated by Muslims. It's something that can be celebrated by secular people, and many people do. And it's like not something you get hung up on.
I'm actually kind of surprised to hear about Muslims celebrating it, I have to admit.
Like
That,
the difficult or the thing about that is, if you're a Muslim child within a school class and you hear that everyone else is celebrating Christmas and getting presents, then the child
yeah.
would be rather disappointed if they get left out of that. So I
Yeah,
have
no,
sort
fair
of a
enough.
friend. So I had sort of friends who are sort of second, third generation in Germany, and they assimilated to the traditions a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah, well, hey, good food brings everyone together. I guess it's just different because in North America, it is more typical for people to make some kind of a dramatic moral stance out of their holiday celebration. Many unbelievers have pointed out that Christmas has pagan roots, that there have always been celebrations around the time of the solstice and Yule, and that things like Yule logs and, so many different accoutrements that, came to be absorbed and assimilated into Christmas were initially from some pagan celebration. And there are some Christians who are horrified by this, and Kirk Cameron came out with an entire movie about how this totally wasn't true at all, where he made up a bunch of stories about the origin of everything. Um,
Taking Back Christmas, I think what was called, or something like that.
yeah, yeah, it was
Saving
just
Christmas, was it Saving
Saving
Christmas?
Christmas. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you're right. It was Saving Christmas. And, but I guess it's more disturbing that he actually felt the need to make up different origins for all the elements of Christmas to make them all sufficiently Jesus-y for his, followers, as opposed to just being able to enjoy them. And I guess that is one of the things that really, it always niggled at me about Christianity, but now that I'm allowed to not, you know, ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. It really bothers me that they have to make all your joy dependent on your theology. Uh,
Yeah,
Anything, you can't enjoy it unless it's sufficiently Jesus-y or it's sufficiently Christian. They used to do that with music. They do that with everything. And it's just such a miserable way to live where you can't just enjoy a thing for what it is. It has to be sufficiently associated with your particular brand of Christianity. And I mean,
yeah,
like Jehovah's Witnesses won't celebrate Christmas at all because of that, because they think it's been, corrupted by to evil paganism. And yeah, again, it's just so bloody miserable.
yeah. Like from my perspective, I don't get that at all because, like, if I was a Christian, I would just say, okay, who cares that it's pagan? It's a fun thing to do. I like celebrating Christmas, and we do hold as a tradition that it's about Jesus' birthday. We do go to church and celebrate it there, but we also get to enjoy the secular parts, like eating cookies.
Yeah, nothing
And
particularly sacred in any religion about eating cookies. Cookies are just delicious, and everybody should be able to enjoy cookies.
yeah,
Especially gingerbread cookies. I have to make some of those. This
yeah,
entire conversation is just going to end up making me hungry. You know that.
yeah. I
Mm,
do know where you're coming from.
I should say so. Oh, yeah. I gotta say, I'm so glad I'm not a Christian anymore. But at the same time, there was a real sense of being connected to this, this larger narrative of the Christmas story. Um, and yeah, I guess it bothers me, that it wasn't true.
Yeah,
But I can understand looking back, the appeal of that sense of belonging and saying,
yeah.
there's a way in which I miss that.
One thing which I wanted to ask you, since you have asked me a lot of questions about Christmas in Germany and that stuff, like I also want to ask you a question. Is
Sure.
there anything about sort of the Christmas church service which you would say you miss?
Some of the singing.
Okay,
Um, the sermon was usually short on Christmas, which I take as a point in its favor. But also, yeah, just the songs. Some of them are really beautiful. Um, and when I still believed it, there was a very peaceful sense to that. And you look at the candlelight services, you know, where there's candlelight everywhere and people singing and I think I miss too that sense that it was like Christmas, this is the time when we should be war on Christmas has corrupted the most about Christmas is that it keeps overly religious people all wound up about being, all poor me, poor me, poor me. And then they don't have time or energy to be generous, to take care of their neighbors, to remember that Christmas is a loving, honorable, and charitable time of year. That's supposed to be the point. I don't know.
yeah. Well,
Now I'm
I
all sad.
what?
Oh, now I'm all sad. Mopey.
Oh,
I'll be fine.
I hope so. Well, I very much love the Christmas season, and I think that as an atheist or as a Christian or as a whatever perspective you come from, I think we can all agree that it's a great time of the year.
It is. It is. And if you're a Christian and you don't understand, think about the things you actually do at Christmas. Like the stuff that you actually do. There's nothing Christian about, well, there's certainly nothing Christian about mowing each other down at Black Friday sales, but presents can be just because you love your family. Holidays and songs and the warmth of the fire in winter and all your favorite foods that you don't get to eat all the time. These are things that everybody in every culture at every time has enjoyed,
Yeah.
for good reason. You know, it's part of the human experience to find ways and times to draw together and celebrate and just be happy. Take a little moment out of the rougher and harder times in the world and just celebrate when we can be together.
Yeah. I would just say that when we objectively look at what are the kinds of things we do at Christmas and what are we actually doing, we're eating cookies, we are having dinner, we're enjoying each other's company, and we go to church maybe for 1.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So what percentage about the Christmas celebration really is about Jesus? I think it's
Mm-hmm.
probably less than 10%. So why couldn't a secular person or a person from whatever worldview just say, yeah, those 1.5 hours I will just spend more on compassion or more on preparing food, more on preparing the
Yeah,
presents,
making
more.
dinner so when you come home from church, there's a Christmas dinner to eat.
Yeah,
Fair. Very fair. Well, I agree. I agree. There's lots of things to do at Christmas time. And there are lots of, truly generous and charitable ways to help other people. If even according to Christian theology, if you missed your church service because you were bringing food and toys to a poor family, you were probably doing more in God's eyes to celebrate Christmas in a true sense than if you'd spent all night at church. At least that's the way I grew up. And I think I think that's a good way to live. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think that is also one of the very few things about Christianity that a non-Christian person who doesn't have these beliefs could get behind.
Yeah. Well, let's make kindness the reason for the season for
Yeah.
once. Once
Kindness,
again.
friendship, and family. That's what
Mm,
it's always has been about for me.
yes. And pumpkin pie, because pumpkin pie is delicious. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. Well, I hope that you're all able to enjoy the holiday in whatever way makes you happiest. And I hope, yeah, just enjoy yourselves and be as happy as you can be. I think, as Robert Greene Ingersoll used to say, the place to be happy is here. The time to be happy is now. The way to be happy is to make someone else so. And I
That's a
think
great quote.
thank you. I think that's a great way to celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
But if that's all, I'm pretty sure that we both have a bit of Christmas shopping and preparation to do.
Yeah.
And everyone else likely does as well. So we'll wish you all a Merry Christmas. And we will be taking the Christmas week off because, of course, we will.
Yeah. I have
And
Harry Potter movies to watch.
yes, yes, absolutely. All the Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So we will see you on the other side, hopefully with some fun, crazy Christian tweets. So feel free to send us a Christmas present of hilarious religious tweets that
Yeah.
make you shake your head. Merry Christmas, all. And Merry Christmas, Renee.
Merry Christmas to you too, Lilith.